can we dip into something stupid for a second? Oh God. You know, Jimmy Dore is an idiot when it comes to Ukraine, especially. He's gross, rape apologist, pro Wagner group, whole deal. Apparently thinks that that because Ukraine's a Nazi country with a Jewish president. It's very strange, odd thing. But I thought when I saw this one that it look at the title. The end of the U.S. dollar is here. Honest to God, I thought this was a fucking rerun. Jimmy Dore is a former TYT person that they broomed at first, put him on his own. Thank you, Emergency Remedial Truth. That was pretty good trolling, but you have to go a little deeper than that. Something personal. Anyways, and not in the chat. You have to do it in the comment section. It's a lot. Don't worry about it. Anyways, after the show, when everything's is too late. So there are areas where I think, Jimmy kind of like pegs the meter on ignorance. This is about the U.S. dollar. What do you? He's talked about the petrodollar in the BRIC countries before, and judging from these pictures, I'm guessing. And by the way, the fact that you would root for these three guys over the U.S. in general, again, and I think that's Erdogan from Turkey back in the background. It's hard to tell. Is fucking gross. And what in the hell makes that progressive at all?
I got bad news if you are an American.
Yes, Jimmy is not an American. Because he thinks Americans are like the schmo, below working class, enslaved masses. And he's got a multi-million-dollar house in the Hollywood Hills. Oh, Business Insider. Saudi Crown Prince snubbed Biden's request to discuss the oil crisis brought about by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Report says, I can't read when that is. Too blurry.
And because the petrodollar is going away.
Uh-oh, not the petrodollar. The petrodollar. Oh, dear. By the way, the petrodollar is a myth. Unless you want to consider that there's also a technology dollar and a grain dollar, and anybody that uses the US dollar as a reserve currency for fucking anything can attach their own product to the front of it.
Which means that the United States dollar, which is...
By the way, get out a legal pad and a pen, perhaps crayons and some toilet paper, because you're about to get schooled on economics by young Jimmy Dore. Again, this one's 10 minutes long. We probably don't have time for all of it because it's, like I said, it feels like a rerun.
Which is the reserve currency of the world, is probably going to go away.
Oh, so the world only runs on oil? Is that what you're saying? So basically there are two currencies in the world, the US dollar and oil, because that's what the petrodollar's for? Or why would it be the reserve currency of the world when you're not dealing with stuff that isn't, when you're dealing with stuff that isn't oil? Oh, right, because this is fucking dumb.
What does that mean? That means...
Please tell us.
...are bad news for our economy.
Oh, my God. It's bad news for our economy. It's terrible.
Like really bad news.
Really bad news. It's really bad. By the way, which Jimmy thinks is good news.
And they're doing it on purpose.
Okay, so Biden is trying to destroy the country and our monetary system based on oil, which would be something, by the way, the Howard Zinns and the left that, of past would clamor for, but somehow Jimmy's all of a sudden against it, probably because of his investment counselor's advice.
Like, what if you would think the president of the United States would want to keep the petrodollar going, but
why would I think that? Isn't he there to destroy the system and bring capitalism to its knees?
They're doing everything to break up that relationship? What is the petrodollar?
Okay, yeah. Tell us what the petrodollar is. It's a dollar that's worth $5. No, that would be the petrodollar.
The petrodollar is Saudi Arabia is the biggest exporter of oil in the world. So we made a deal with them back in the 70s that said you can use our military
no, you can't.
Anywhere you want in the world.
No, you cannot. You cannot. That we have not been renting the U.S. military to the fucking Saudis in exchange for anything. We'll give them security support, But that if they wanted to fucking attack Israel, we're like, yeah, cool. As long as you keep those sweet petrodollars rolling.
But what will charge you for that is you have to make sure whenever someone buys oil from you, they have to buy it in U.S. dollars. So that means.
So I know I understand what you're saying. So all the other countries, including Venezuela, which has the largest oil reserves in the world, they're not going to use it. This is just a deal between the U.S. and the Saudis. It's 1-to-1, and that's the existence of it. Gotcha.
Anybody who bought Italy, whether it's Brazil, whether it's Africa, Australia, no matter Iceland, if they bought
fucking Iceland.
Oil from Saudi Arabia, they had to first convert their currency into U.S. dollars, which meant that
You really? So the Saudis didn't trust the Iraqi dinar or the Icelandic kronar or
everybody around the world used the United States dollar as the reserve currency. So everybody trades with dollars. So that keeps our.
Plus, they buy other stuff because while you got the U.S. dollars,
that's
you
right.
might as well get all your stuff.
So they do. That's
yeah. They buy everything in the U.S. dollar. It's not really a petrodollar. Way to fuck up the whole thing, Kurt. Are you telling us it's not a petrodollar? It's just the most reliable reserve currency in the world, and everybody trusts it more than they trust the other bigger currencies? And why the fuck would you try to do exchanges based on 19 different... God damn it.
something they use it for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything is petroleum at this point. I mean, if you think about it, everything's plastic, including grain.
Right. So it's like the international trade currency.
Yeah.
It's the reserve currency of the world. Yeah. It's why it's not a petrodollar. It's why it's for fucking everything.
It's the world reserve.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't it's the reserve currency that the world uses most frequently. And not the petrodollar, because petroleum-based countries use it to sell their wares worldwide. Everybody does. You see? All right.
So that's going to go away because...
Yeah, it's going to go away.
Because what we're doing in Ukraine and other places and trying to force an economic hurt on Russia and China is...
So the petrodollar's going away because we're trying to hurt Russia and China. Okay.
It's forcing places like Saudi Arabia to abandon the petrodollar idea, which will hurt us a lot.
Oh, goodness. Especially since the Saudis hit peak oil about 8 years ago and are cash poor and are now trying to convert their entire fucking economy into the Middle Eastern tourist colony that they know that's their only shot, because they have Mecca and Medina, and they're going to build this fucking city that's a line through the whole desert, and they've been throwing money at Dubai and places like that, because when they run out of money, the only thing that's going to bring people there is international criminal trade, the ability for AI to have citizenship there that they can tax at 100% so they can set up fucking crypto mining farms, which that worked out really well.
Saudi prince snubbed Biden's request.
The Saudi prince? Say it isn't so. Not the prince. Which prince are we talking about? Who?
Is forcing places like Saudi Arabia to abandon the petrodollar idea.
Oh, why are we doing that? That's mean to Saudi Arabia.
Yep. Which will hurt us a lot. Saudi prince snubbed Biden's request to discuss the...
Oh my God, not the Saudi prince. Who didn't see that coming? Who didn't let the prince say what he was going to say, and do what he was going to do when he was crincing about? It's so sad when
the oil crisis brought about by Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Report says.
This is from March 9th of 2022. And then...
From March of last year. Yeah, that's why this feels like a fucking rerun.
This is what happened.
And yes, Cuttison, Saudi Arabia is running out of oil. Right. Both of them are fucking awful. Apparently, Jimmy is very upset that that the U.S. might no longer be in business with those two murderous fucks. And by the way, they're only doing that because they both were at like a rape farm the night before, and it was just like, buddy, last night, so cool.
They're getting along.
And
Then this happened.
Saudi invites China's president from Memo, the Middle East Monitor. Okay. By the way, that didn't work out the way he thought it did. But
Saudi invites China's President Xi as relations with Washington remain soured.
Who gives a fuck?
What?
The U.S. is we've been relatively energy independent. We use a lot more oil than we use about 2 million barrels more oil than we produce in the country. As refineries come back online to pre-COVID levels, and as the amount of oil that we have in the in country exceeds what we need because of demand destruction in the United States, because we've actually hit. Hold on, may I share something with you? This is right. Hold on. This is something that will never factor in to Jimmy's thinking. Let's see. Yeah. The price of gas is going to go up in the future because we have hit peak gasoline. Americans are facing the threat of more production crunches and price spikes as the fuel industry risks moving on from gasoline more quickly than consumers. Read that again. As the fuel industry moves on from gasoline more quickly than consumers. That's on a page, Bloomberg. What is the greenest electric car in America? They have a whole breakdown. Yes, the U.S. is destroying demand for fossil fuels at an accelerating clip.
Hey, BRICS.
And this is where, oh, please. This is the same shit we talked about last time. Please let them try.
Challenges the U.S. dollar dominance. Saudi considers selling oil in other currencies.
Oh dear God. They're considering it. Oh my gosh. Not considerations.
Multipolar economic order. So this is the kind of crazy stuff people thought Trump would do. And of course, it's being done by Joe Biden.
Also, first of all, no one thought Trump would ever do this. Secondly, the fact that, quote, they're doing this because Biden won't play nice with them or gargle their balls the way Trump did is the effect of America severing itself from certain quarters of the global order because they no longer serve us both financially and ethically. The interesting thing is that because of these assholes that are running these places right fucking now, we can do both at the same time. There were times when, because of our economic needs, we had to bend over backwards ethically with these folks. That's gone now.
And the Wall Street fossil fuel puppets.
The Wall Street fossil fuel puppets and Joe Biden are trying to end Saudi Arabia's reliance on the U.S. dollar for...
So Trump didn't do this.
Yes, we know. Trump couldn't do this. Also, it's a good thing. Because if we're not financially reliant on Saudi Arabia to use our currency back and forth, we base the worth of our currency not on the exchanges with one fucking murderous dictator family that tacitly controls the large swaths of the Middle East because we've been backing them for a time. We stopped backing those fuckers. They're in deep shit. And you know what? Fuck them.
Didn't wreck everything for the United States. It's Joe Biden and the Democrats that are doing this.
Okay, first of all, this is not wrecking everything for the United States. This is just, again, I don't even know what the fuck he's selling. Because this would make sense if this was like Kudlow and on a drinking podcast with fuck, I don't know, Glenn Beck, it would make sense. Because they'd be bitching about their own investments in oil and gas and how the Green New Deal and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, OPEC, not Biden, exactly. This is, all he's selling is Biden equals bad. I know. I don't even, here's the thing. A lot of times you can tell, besides the fact that Biden equals bad, America bad, that fucking Jimmy's normally selling. Usually you can find some sort of train of thought in it. This is fucking gibberish.
And the deep state.
Okay, well then, you know what? I'm sorry. That spackles all the hole in the argument. Deep state. Why didn't you say so? I didn't realize the deep state was involved. And deep state that is the deep state that is puppeting Joe Biden, but also controlled by Joe Biden and in lockstep with Joe Biden and the Saudis who are against. So the deep state is against being in business with Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, and Mohammed bin Salman. Fuck, you sold me on it, Jimmy. The deep state sound like a bunch of swell fellas.
That's what they're doing. And they're doing it right out in the open, and no one seems to care.
No, it's not that they don't care. It's, Jimmy, they don't know what the fuck you're talking about any more than you do.
By the way, this photo explains more about the Ukraine war than 1 million Ukraine flag tweets combined. Right?
Kurt wrote that for him.
Right. So there's the president of Brazil, president of Russia, president.
No, that's not the president of Brazil. That's Modi. That's the Indian prime minister, you dumb fuck.
Of China.
And he's the chairman of the Communist Party. They stop calling him the fucking president. He wasn't elected. Presidents preside because they were elected.
I don't know who this is. Let's see. I don't know.
He's never even looked at this. This was one of the African presidents.
Who that is either. But those. So
I don't even know who that is. Some chick. Why bother? You only need to know two. Putin and Xi Jinping. They're the good guys. Fuck America. Please continue.
South Africa?
It's called BRICS. The international economic system had been dominated for decades by the United
This was written by Geopolitical Economy magazine. And it had a, I cut out a piece of this and put it on the thing.
United States. But this financial architecture is rapidly fracturing with the creation of new institutions in the global South.
Oh my God, not the global South. Great. Now it's a new confederacy.
The BRICS bloc of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa is working to develop a fairer system of monetary exchange.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. And good fucking luck. Find a fairer system. Which one of those countries is going to say, hey guys, I think it should be my country's. We're all going to do it in the yuan, right? No, we're gonna do it in the rupee. No, we're gonna do it in the ruble. Well, we've got to obviously come together and come up with one. If we're gonna have a reserve currency, it's got to be one of us. And I mean, obviously, Russia's doing bang up, but China. I mean, obviously, the yuan is. Hold on. Whoops, I could type. Just assume that, let's see. Of all the countries in the BRICS, China's doing the best. Oh shit. With its population declining, China's period of rapid growth is likely over. How it copes is critical for the world as it crashes. But at least the wealthy are doing okay. Exodus of wealthy Chinese accelerates with the end of COVID-0. Sorry, hold on one second. You know what I mean? They should use the yuan. This is fun. I don't know how Jimmy feels about this. China, Xi wants to use capitalism to save communism. Biden, West must not take the bait. the Biden in the West, you mean investors who, like Ray Dalio, who don't give a rat fuck who dies if they can make money. Let's see. But the Economist will have something. But at least, you know what I mean? I think it was, gosh, who was it? I think it was Rodney Dangerfield, Caddyshack, who said, if you own anything but real estate, you own a popcorn fart. Hold on. Somebody step on a duck, right? That's, so luckily the Chinese real estate market is doing fantastic. Oh, shit. Well, at the very least, at least the Russian economy is doing great. Obviously, let's see. Let's see. This is a good one. And this one ties together. This is from oilprice.com. This is a good name. This is something Jimmy can get behind, you know, because he's a peacenik, right? He's a peace-loving dude. Jesus Christ, move over here. There you go. Russia races to ramp up arms production, even if it cripples its economy. It's great. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? And so Jimmy wants you to believe that Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are all going to sit around a table, and the leaders of each of those countries is going to sign off on one of the other leaders of those countries getting all the financial benefits of being the new reserve currency. Or they're going to form their own digital currency. We've dealt with this before. This is the same shit from last year. And their digital currency, wait for it. How do you establish a digital currency's worth? Well, if you establish it based on the worth of the yuan, then the yuan is a protected currency. And so the rest of those countries can't have that. If you do it with Brazil, same thing. If you do it with Russia, same thing. They all benefit if you tag the digital currency to one of their currencies. So they want to, wait for it, peg it to the US dollar. So that they can basically have digital counterfeit funds to sell things between each other. And if the US dollar tanks, so does their crypto fucking brick currency. It's so goddamn dumb.
To challenge the dominance of the US dollar. Saudi Arabia publicly confirmed that it is considering selling its oil in other currencies. China's President Xi Jinping said Beijing will buy energy from the Persian Gulf states in its own currency, the renminbi.
Renminbi, people's currency. Renminbi. It's the renminbi. I like renminbi's second record.
Said Beijing will buy energy from the Persian Gulf state
renminbi
in its own currency.
Mm-hmm.
The renminbi.
The renminbi. And Kurt's gonna salvage him.
Minbi?
You know what? I looked it up 4 times today on how to
renminbi. Look at it. You literally can't read it any other way. Renminbi. Renminbi. Renminbi, the people's currency. Yuan. Just say fucking yuan, stupid. There's a guy I watch who does economic blogs and on vlogs online and talking about like the Russian, the Chinese economy and the Saudi economy and those kind of things. And he says yan when he says yuan because he's British, and it drives me fucking crazy. Renminbi.
In its own currency.
The renminbi. Do.
The renminbi.
Shit.
Minbi?
You know what? I looked it up 4 times today on how to say it. I thought I memorized it, and I didn't.
You don't have to memorize it, motherfucker. It's written. Read it as it's renminbi. All right. It's like they put the Chinese character in front of him and he had to memorize the word for it. Shit.
I thought they had the won or the yuan.
That is so renminbi, whatever that word is.
Oh shit.
That's what they're That's what they're called. A yuan is like a denomination of their money.
Oh.
Oh. Like the U.S. currency is in dollars, and a dollar is a form of dollars. Why don't you just say chen at this point? God damn, this is dumb.
Ooh,
Right?
Oh, no. They're interchangeable. Yuan and renminbi are interchangeable. The yuan, they call it the yuan, but they also say the renminbi. That inside the country, they say renminbi because it's the people's currency and it's communist talk. They also say yuan, and they also say, what they say is chen in terms of money. Because one of the things you memorize when you're over there is, well, meo chen, I don't have any money. Because you don't want to buy anything when you're in a shop, so everybody leaves you alone. Means you don't have any money with you. You don't have any of their money. Well, meo need a chen. I don't have any of your money.
Renminbi is the
Yeah, that's their monetary. That's their money is called that. And then the yuan, which is spelled yuan, that's like a denomination of their money, right? So that's
no, it isn't. No, I mean, talk about a distinction without a difference. But look, it's nice to watch Kurt learning something wrong right in front of our eyes. Yes, like dollar, money, and currency are all different words in English. The problem is, it's the difference between dollar and buck. Or dollar and a single. Or a dollar, it's more like dollar and buck.
it's like a pound, right?
Okay.
No, because the pound and a pound are the same word used as both the title of the currency and the denomination. You fucking dolt.
Prominent economist Zoltan
Sorry.
Pozar of the Swiss investment bank Credit Suisse has
Credit Suisse. Sweezy Jefferson? I'm not familiar. Fuck me. Does he all right. For those of you that don't know, these aren't these little pieces right over here. Jimmy pulls these, he copies the text and puts it in Keynote or sends it to somebody and they do a Keynote for him so he can pop these things up on his screen when he's talking about stuff. This is not how it is in the article. When I put something up, as you know, I put the whole article up and we scroll through it. Fuck me. Sweezy. And by the way, notice how I don't think Kurt jumped in to save him from Sweezy.
nomination of their money, right? So that's like a pound.
No, it isn't. It's just, they're both a pound. They're both the same thing.
Okay.
Prominent economist Zoltan Pozar of the Swiss investment bank Credit Suisse has observed that the unipolar...
Yeah, Kurt did not... Kurt did not jump in and save him from Credit Suisse. It's Credit Suisse, dumb fuck. You hear it all the time. Patrick Swayze. I miss Patrick Swayze. That's sad. All right. I thought we were going to get out of this video early just because it was going to be tired and feel like a rerun. But he's found new ways of making this stupid argument dumber. Stupid and dumb are often words used. Stupid is the concept, and dumb is the denomination that Jimmy uses.
era of U.S. hegemony is quickly being
Hegemony.
replaced with a new multipolar order of one world, two systems.
Oh my God. Thank you for holding up two, because most of us don't know how denominations work.
China
And by the way, don't think for a second that he's holding that up to mean peace, because he's rooting for the Wagner rape squad.
is proactively writing a fresh set of rules and creating a new type of globalization. Posner wrote, describing how this
Suddenly Poser's name has an N in it all of a sudden.
transition threatens the exorbitant privilege that the dollar holds as the international reserve currency.
Oh yeah, totally threatened. Absolutely. Yeah. Good luck. At least the yuan is steady and can't be actively manipulated, specifically buy the CCP.
South Africa's foreign minister, Naledi Pandor, told Russia's state media outlet Sputnik that the BRICS bloc is working to develop a fairer system of monetary exchange to weaken the dominance of the dollar.
Yeah, well, and it's apparently they're done. It's already happened because it's over. That's what the title said. And they've and how much progress have they made since they've been yammering about this last year? Oh, none. And what were they thinking of doing? A cryptocurrency pegged to the US dollar? Great, brilliant plan. Also, what's happened to crypto since March of last year?
Pandor's comments were ignored by Western media outlets, but widely reported in the Indian press.
Okay.
Of course, nobody talks about this in the corporate media because they don't want you to talk about it, because they don't want you to know what the petrodollar is, because they don't want you sniffing it out.
Did he just say petrol dollar? At this point, I mean, if you say petrol, yeah, I can see that. Rip dollar, rip Portland. Absolutely. Well, that was our mistake. The U.S. put all of our dollars in Portland, and then Portland got burned to the ground, and now there's none left.
That's why we're doing warmongering in Yemen and help.
Wait. Why would we be doing, quote, warmongering in Yemen? Why wouldn't we pull out of doing warmongering in Yemen? Maybe it's our lack of support for what the Saudis were doing in their engagement with Yemen, because the Saudis are for that war. So why would they be footsying with other countries and fucking around with this if we weren't all in with them on? Oh, God.
Helping committed genocide and all the other stuff we're doing.
They better not.
Yeah, just genocide. Yeah, because that's what it is. Because Russia and China specifically get very upset at the idea of genocide and warmongering. They just don't like it. It just gives them the rumblies and the tumblies.
Threaten our exorbitant privilege.
They better not.
Look at Jimmy. They better not, because he's got money now.
The systems currently in place tend to privilege very wealthy countries and tend to be really a challenge for countries such as ourselves, which have to make payments in dollars, which cost much more in terms of our various currencies.
Because they're worth something. You know why something is worth a lot more? Is because it has more value.
Or continued. So I do think a fairer system has to be developed, and it's something we're discussing with the BRICS ministers in the economic sectors discussed. The South African foreign minister.
By the way, this is the same shit from last summer. He's just revisiting this. He must have gotten a big, like, this video must have really scored high with his regular viewers or the bot farms that in India that he buys into to watch his
also
shit.
Criticized the United States imposition of unilateral sanctions, which are illegal under international law.
Oh my God! If a country's committing genocide, like, can you imagine, like, if they'd have done this to Germany?
She told Sputnik.
In the 30s?
We always have a problem with unilateral sanctions and their impact on many countries that fall outside a particular conflict. So we have indicated to our friends in the United States that we really want them to relook at this imposition of unilateral sanctions, which is often not very helpful as a strategy in resolving problems.
But I thought Russia was doing a lot better, Jimmy. You were telling us that the sanctions had no effect. If anything, they were helping Russia get stronger. Apparently, that didn't come across in the meeting that they had in fucking March, where things have obviously gotten a lot better for Russia in Ukraine since then, with the South African, because they're the S in BRICS, and they're the real big money.
The world's largest oil exporter, Saudi Arabia, has publicly acknowledged that it is considering selling its crude in other currencies, not just the U.S. dollar. That is the end of it for the United States.
This is I mean, he sounds so fucking hopeful. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There you go. Interestingly enough, right about the time he's talking about this comes up. Output from Saudi Arabia maxes at 13 million barrels a day and is declining going forward. That's what came out in July. That when Biden came and asked them to increase production, the reality is they simply did not have it. And the reason they export more than anybody else is because it's such a fucking tiny country. They don't run their country on, they don't burn oil in their refineries. They sell it because they have nothing else. Of course they're the biggest exporter. When's the last time you bought a Saudi fucking car or phone? They're in the same situation that Russia is in, or India for that matter. India's best export is the intellect of its people working in certain firms that, in other countries, high-tech firms. Their education and the number of people they have, that they just have a volume of people who are educated, who can go work in the tech industry and other, in finance and that kind of stuff, because they have that many people, they have that many more people who can go work in jobs. But again, you're not buying Indian products any more than you're buying a fucking South African car, for that fucking matter.
That's going to be the end of our 1,000 military bases across the world. We're going to go bankrupt.
Okay, first of all, it happens backwards. We pull our military bases up because we're not engaged in protecting the Saudi oil trade and the Chinese trade from pirates and all that kind of shit. You're on your fucking own. And the Navy will tend to the countries we have alliances with, instead of just making the entire world safe for trade. He's got it reversed, but I guess letters aren't the only thing he's flip-flopping today.
Country.
Not if we go to war.
We already kind of are, but we will.
No, we're not. At all. Like, not even fucking close.
Actually, we don't have to feel the repercussions of that now because of the petrodollar. But when that goes away, we are going to feel it.
Imagine what the Saudis are going to feel when the vast majority of Western countries no longer run their cars, just consumer vehicles alone, on oil and gas. When they switch to electric, when the vast majority of people drive electric vehicles, chargeable electric vehicles, or long-run, nuclear diamond battery kind of vehicles. Imagine how Saudi Arabia is going to fare after that. Because again, you don't need like the Apple iPhone or any of its technology, or Microsoft or any of the technology that comes out of the United States, or Google, or fucking the infrastructure of Amazon, or fucking nuclear fusion for that fucking matter coming out of the United States. You don't need oil to make that happen. You don't need the Saudis for fucking any of that. Name one thing the Saudis sell that isn't oil. What happens when the U.S. and Western countries in particular, and this is definitely the strategy, stop relying on oil and gas for their consumer vehicles? Because we already have plenty of oil and gas to make jet fuel and run trains and use natural gas, for example, to run factories and smelting plants. What happens? What happens to Saudi Arabia's economy when the world no longer needs fossil fuel? Because eventually, one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to stop needing it from them, the Western world in general, is going to form a group together, which is already happening. That's part of what's going on with Russia as well. Because lesson learned, you don't have to be in bed with these people. You can fix shit and get away from it. Sever yourself from this slavery to this kind of the petroleum economy, and move towards a renewable economy where ideas and invention and the structure of value that you create through those things is the worth of your country, not we happen to be born on goo under our feet that you can set on fucking fire. what happens? I don't know. Ask Qatar. Ask Kuwait. What? They're going to build ships with what? And also, it's kind of wonderful to watch just how fucking dumb about all of this stuff Jimmy and Kurt are. This is amazing.
Saudi Finance Minister Mohammed Al Jadaan told Bloomberg TV there are no
Jadaan.
issues with discussing how we settle our trade arrangements, whether it is in the U.S. dollar, whether it is in the euro, whether it's in the Saudi riyal.
And also, yes, there is. Do you see the essence in the basis of that statement, which is the fucking problem with the BRICS? Because is the euro one of the BRICS currencies? No, that's the European currency. That's the EU's currency. That's not what Brazil and Russia and India and China use, or South Africa. They all have their own. And the idea that, oh, we'll trade them, but they're going to have to buy it in the Saudi riyal. Yeah, that's... I don't know why. Maybe he's right. This seems so smooth now that you put it that way.
There are no issues with discussing how we settle our trade arrangements, whether it is in the U.S. dollar, whether it is in the euro, whether it's in the Saudi riyal.
Renminbi. It's the renminbi at this point, I think.
In 1974, this is it. Saudi Arabia agreed to sell its crude.
This is where he first read this.
The dollar, blah, 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 blah. The petrodollar system helped undergird the status of the greenback as the global...
Undergird. As in support, create a foundation for, and as a substructure to raise up the dollar. Also, the petrodollar system that existed did not happen naturally. It was an act of will by the United States, and it required a lot of fucking effort. And it had to do with Bretton Woods. It wasn't just the fucking an agreement, a unilateral agreement we had with the fucking Saudis.
Global reserve currency after U.S. President Richard Nixon extended the convertibility of the dollar to gold in 1971. But the petrodollar now has direct challengers.
Oh, yes. Lots of them. It's always had lots of them. None of them have any legs.
The Wall Street Journal reported in March 2022 that Saudi Arabia was in active talks with Beijing to produce... We already said this. Blah, 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 blah. China is already Saudi Arabia's top trading partner, and Beijing, Riyadh, and the GCC pledged to deepen their multilateral trade.
Mm-hmm. Good luck.
These historic developments in the BRICS and Saudi Arabia are part of an international shift to a multipolar... Yeah, so we know all this. Okay.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. Just get through it. Whatever. Here we go. CBDCs. This is going to be it.
Blah, blah, blah. We got all this.
Skip past it. The central bank digital currencies. That's the idea, is that the U.S. is going to form a CBDC, which is what Glenn Beck has been warning everybody about. And in response, which, by the way, they did a pilot program, and the Fed literally said, no, there's no need. It's stupid. It's a solution in search of a problem. We're fine.
We did it. We already did it. How many times do you want me to fucking say this?
Renminbi.
So there it is. Bloomberg is reporting it. The power of BRICS will go ahead with the joint... South Africa will go ahead with the joint naval exercises, including Russia and China.
Oh, my God. You mean murderous dictators want to fucking murderous dictate together?
Operation Mosey, smoke, will take place from February 17th to the 26th. South Africa is set to welcome Russian warships despite every criticism.
Yes, because I think as Americans, we've always looked at South Africa as a place that's just kind of like runaway and full of fun. I mean, I'm sure Jimmy pines for the days before apartheid went away.
Joe Biden is fucking up the international United States order.
Which, by the way, you're against in some way. He's fucking up because Russia and South Africa are getting together? oh no, we'll no longer have access to those sweet South African flat screens. Dear God, when will we get a solid Russian toaster ever again? I don't even know. Does he think past, I guess, the end of Kurt's fucking tailbone?
Ambassador of South
Yeah, doesn't Jimmy hate the PNAC? No, apparently he is fully on the side of PNAC because PNAC was trying to avoid this. And everybody else was like, fuck that, we don't need them. Being in bed with them gives them access to shit they never would have had in the first fucking place.
Africa is Russia Mazvukia Mark.
Oh, God. The ambassador of South Africa and Russia, Muzukile Makatuka, said
Joe Biden is fucking up the international United States order.
By the way, which again, he's supposed to be, like Jimmy allegedly was against, because fuck the U.S. and whatever, but now he's rich, so.
The ambassador of South Africa is Russia Mazvukia Markuta said that.
Zuvakili?
Who the fuck knows?
It's the South African ambassador in Russia, not a Russian whatever.
That about 13 countries are interested in joining the BRICS.
Uh-huh. 13 countries, huh? What, Papua New Guinea? Burma?
Makuta added that 6 countries have already submitted formal applications for membership. It's over. And Joe Biden is driving American off the cliff.
Driving American off the cliff. Which American is it? You're an American. Maybe it's a Freudian slip. Jimmy thinks now that he's got money, Joe Biden's going to fuck up the whole thing.
So this was the stuff you thought Trump was going to do. Joe Biden's doing it.
Wait a minute. No, I never thought Trump would break up the world order based on our slavish need for Saudi petroleum in the world market. He's the last fucking person you would expect to do that.
They're wrecking your country. They're spending $100 billion. I said this on stage at the Flappers the other.
Yes, and somebody came up and pointed out that you're a conspiratorial dickhead, and you screamed at them.
And I said, if there's
this is going to be funny. He said it on stage at Flappers, so it's obviously going to be a winner.
If they're sending $100 billion to another country, you know it's because we care about them. I just don't understand why we don't send $100 billion to the United States.
Well, I think you just.
Our budget for the United States, the omnibus is just $1.7 trillion. $1.7 trillion U.S. budget from the last continuing resolution. I mean, from the omnibus. The newest budget, $1.7 trillion. Almost 2,000 billion.
Just answered your question.
And the people and the crowd went wild.
No, they didn't. They were like, is that a joke or are you just complaining? Because it's not a joke. That isn't an actual joke. Just for the record, that's just kind of a sardonic aside at best.
So regular people are catching on.
Are they? Regular people like Kurt, who just found out that the renminbi and the yuan are two totally different things that are actually the same, but sort of different.
Not just
and the renminbi is every renminbi is a yuan, but not every yuan is a renminbi, or vice versa.
Jimmy Dore show viewers, regular people,
not just Dilbert and the.
Wow! Oh, one of my fake fact checkers. You know how this show gets fake fact checked by people funded by Bill Gates and what have you. Mm. One of them was
because you're that fucking important.
At that show, and
this is the dude. That's Alan. Or let's see. So let's see if I can find this. Yeah, Alan Duke. I'll show you this. He took this picture. He sent me this. He goes, I took this picture. I'll read you what he said because I don't want to he did at Flappers tonight, and guess who shows up? Jimmy act as stupid anti-vax and anti-Ukraine crap. Imagine his surprise when I introduced myself. He was not happy. He has ranted about me many times for flagging his disinformation. This photo is the moment just before I told him who I was. 2 seconds later, he was cursing and very upset. So sad. I told him I was there because I was hoping to see Hal Sparks.
And came up to me and took a picture and then told me who they were. Hey, I have the fact checked you on the blah blah blah. And I was like, you piece of shit. And I gave you a picture before I knew who the fuck you were.
I gave you a picture. I gave you a picture that you didn't deserve.
Then I told him, he's like, hey, I thought we were going to be friends. And I'm like,
no, he thought it was going to be funny.
You're a piece of shit. Get the fuck away from me. Then my comedian friend, Michael Gelburn, walked up. He goes, who's this? I go, this is a piece of shit, Michael. Don't pay any attention to him.
Yeah, he fact checks my show, and rather than answer it, I just call him a piece of shit and tell people not to talk to him, lest he tells them what a liar I am.
Hey, we're doing live stand.
Hey, we're doing live stand-up. That's why I got my comedy hat on. I got my big comedy hat on. If it wasn't for this hat, my ears would show. So that's, how do I put this? It is January of 2023. And this was supposed to be the time leading up, if you watched any of the both right-wing media and Jimmy Dore show, there is no real difference, that Joe Biden would be destroyed as a candidate, gone. The Republicans would take over the House and drive him into like the inability to govern in any way, and broomed by the deep state, blah, blah. And the real result is that Don Jr. is stuck doing a fucking long-form podcast, and Jimmy Dore is trying to explain to people how the BRICS countries are going to, this fucking rehash story from last summer, are going to eventually, maybe sometime, possibly get rid of the petrodollar, and it's over for the United States. Isn't that exciting? Also, he stopped, in this case, he stopped putting like, I used to have like stand up there, or we're doing stand up. Now there's no we anymore. It's just him by himself. Also, this little February 25th, this Two Roads place or whatever, it's this little theater on, I think it's on Tahunga or something in Burbank, like Studio City, North Hollywood. It's hard to say, in that kind of area or whatever. It's a really weird little black box theater. And I don't know why he's going up on stage. He went up on stage at Flappers with other people. He's no longer doing just Jimmy shows at Flappers. For whatever reason, he's either not welcome anymore, or they've got such a bad taste in their mouth about his show being there, or he always wants the Wednesday that I get. I'm confused. Is he a comedian? No, he is not. He says he does comedy. He is not a comedian. He basically goes up there and bitches like an old bigot on a porch. I'm in all fairness, I have not seen his act lately, so he might be attempting some actual jokes, but more than likely they are Kurt's jokes. Kurt is writing for him on the show. He does not make a distinction that they are Kurt's jokes in the clips anyways, so it wouldn't be surprising to me that he doesn't make that distinction when he's on fucking stage anyways. But ultimately, this is the state of, we're going to bring down the Democrats right now. That's it. That's the whole... Don Knotts was funny, I admit. Don Knotts was amazing. It was a squirrel. He means me? Oh, yes, I definitely do stand up. And I have to say, both Nerd Halen gigs, solid comedy. Hal gets crypto from Bill Gates. I do. It's true. He sends me I mine it for him using this adrenochrome machine that I built. Yeah. I burn the, please, for the love of God, move on from Dory, so irrelevant. I agree. I think increasingly you are correct. This increasingly looks like a hard fade to me. There was a period where he was like, peak fuck around. But he's got 1 million followers on YouTube over. and then 154K on Rumble, where he's mostly moved to. And Aaron Mates fills in for him when he's away doing whatever the fuck. Sorry. When are you going to fight Van Halen? I will never fight another tribute band except on the hustings of talent. Close the door on Jimmy permanently. We might be nearing there in case anything stands out. But this one came up because it's so definitive, right? Most of this, I mean, he posts a bunch of shit all the time. But the end of the U.S. dollar is here was the name of that video. And quite frankly, it might be just the end of the Jimmy Dore show. Because it's just so fucking dull. And by the way, I will say for the record that Alan Duke's telling of the story to me, this one right here, Alan's telling of the story right before this picture he tells me what happened, is exactly as Jimmy told it. It is exactly that. That was precisely what happened. So kudos to Alan for note, and Jimmy being still his ass so chapped about it that he had to bring it up. He's like extreme Christians trying to make the end times come, just the end. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like Jimmy Dore is basically like Lauren Boebert's husband's shriveled dick, hoping for the rapture, but glad to be out at a bowling alley. I thought Jimmy Dore had 4 million subs. I think Russell has had 5 or something like that. Anyways, we look at him on Rumble because that's where he posts the clips mostly now.